Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel, AA Fine Arts. Anytime during this narrated tutorial, you can click on the subscribe button to subscribe to my channel. If you want to learn about my virtual classes or want to see my paintings, you can do so on my website at aafinearts.com. You can also contact me on my email, aafinearts@gmail.com. This tutorial, this step-by-step tutorial is one in a series of tutorials that I have about beach images. Some of my beach images contain palm trees. Some do not. This particular one will not have any palm trees. It will just have the sky, water, sand, and some greenery, some of the grasses that are commonly seen on the beaches. I may even put an umbrella or two, or maybe just half of one, just to give it a little bit more interest. So let's get to the fun part of this tutorial, and that is the painting part. So with that in mind, I will start by adding some water to the sky area. I'm going to have not too much water, but I'm going to cover the entire sky area and just above the horizon line. I don't want to touch that horizon line with the water because when I do paint the water, I don't want to touch the water area so that otherwise the colors will bleed into the sky. So, and my paper is at an angle, approximately 15-degree angle, maybe 10 to 15-degree angle. So I'm going to remove the water from the edges from my tape, so to prevent the bleed over also from that water to my sky. So because of the angle of my paper, I'm going to rely on the gravity to mix some of the colors. And this scene is going to be, afternoon, so it's going to have a little bit of a glow, afternoon glow in the coloration, overall coloration in the sand primarily. But with that in mind, I'm going to also add a little bit of burnt sienna to the sky in the lower area, the sky, like that. Just a little bit of the burnt sienna. Also going to bring in a little bit of rose madder, very light rose madder to that, like that. It bled some over here into the water, but that's all right, it will be dry. And so now, having done that, I'm going to bring some ultramarine and burnt sienna, create a gray, a warm gray, and add a few touches of some clouds, very light. We need some warm colors over here like this, like that. Maybe bring a little bit over here. And I'm going to add a little bit of ultramarine into this area, some of the lower areas of the cloud, like that. And now I'm also going to bring in some manganese blue and cobalt blue, but primarily the cobalt blue. And while the paper is still damp, I'm going to add some of the cobalt blue like this. Leave some white areas, a little bit more of the cobalt. here, like I said, leave some white areas like that, and this lower area too. I'll give them a little bit more water because the paper is drying here. And break it over here a little bit, bring that blue into the, through the cloud there. See, this bled there, so that's what I did not want to happen. But since it happened, that's all right. And that's pretty much it. I'm gonna leave it like that. Probably a little bit more cobalt in this area here. See, the paper's beginning to dry now, so I better stop doing this. There we are. A little bit more over here. Get rid of that area. Like that. There. All right. I'll leave it like that. Now, while that is drying, I'm going to take my big brush and wet the sand area. I want that area fairly wet because I want to paint the colors that I'm going to paint in the sand. I want them to be very, very soft. And I don't want to go into that area. So I'm going to add more water over here. This area where the sand will be. Like that. Make sure it's covered. I don't want any dry areas. There we are. Remove this water from here. Okay, now I'm gonna give everything a warm glow. I'm gonna use some burnt sienna. I'm gonna a little bit of burnt sienna here, a little bit more. Give it a little bit of everything a warm glow. A little bit over here. But leaving some whites too. Like that. Okay. Now I'm going to mix some cobalt blue and brown matter. Make a gray, but mostly the cobalt blue. And there will be some shadow areas over here. Like that. We'll bring more cobalt blue to these areas. Come over here a little bit. A little bit more of the cobalt here. This is going to dry lighter, so I don't mind doing this darker. Also going to bring in some rose madder. Bring some of that rose madder over here. Like that. Well, that will be on the shade. I'm going to bring more rose madder and the cobalt. All of this is going to be on this shade there here. I'm going to clean my brush, and also I'm going to get some some clean cerulean blue. Bring some of that cerulean blue over here. Like that. Okay, that would be in the shade. Now I want to bring more of the cobalt. Over here like this. I don't want the paper to dry. I'm going to bring a little bit of the cobalt and the rose madder over here too. There will be some shade areas and there's some grasses. Not too much, but it's mostly this area. I'm going to increase the value of the cobalt. See, this was the real dark, now it's beginning to dry, so there. Okay. So now I'm going to let that dry. Clean my brush. Get the moisture out of the brush. Put it aside for now. And see how my sky is. It's drying rather nicely there, but it's still kind of wet. So I'm going to wait for this. While I'm waiting and this paper is still damp here, I'm going to take a round brush and get some of the rose madder, or rather the brown madder really, and the ultramarine this time, and get some gray tones and start adding some of the disturbances of in the surface of the sand here, like this. Like that. Like that. Okay, when the paper dries in that area, I'm going to do a little bit more on dry paper, but at least for now I want to do this with footsteps and things like that. Not there. Okay, I'm going to take some paper towel and kind of blot some of those areas out of very lightly. There. Okay. How is my sky? Still kind of wet. So, and this is beginning to dry, so I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more blue there. Some of these areas. There we are, before it dries. There. Okay. Now, I'm going to add a little bit more of the blue on this side too. There's going to be some shadow areas over here. Like that. I'm going to bring some of that blue over here. Like that. I'm going to bring a little bit of the brown matter by itself onto this blue area. Like that. And this one. Like that. Okay. Good. So now I'm gonna, this is drying, so I'm gonna go ahead and do the water in that area. I'm gonna use quite a bit of rose manganese blue. Yeah, manganese blue and ultramarine. And go to the horizon. This is dry? Yeah, it's dry. Go to the horizon line here. And go very careful with that line with the edge of the flat brush. Paint that, see, it was beginning to bleed into the sky. That's all right. We'll do that. Come over here. We'll leave some white areas for the crests of some of the waves. Narrow ones in the distance, like that. A little wider ones to the lower area. I'm going to bring some more ultramarine. Start darkening some of those areas. A little bit more. The manganese blue. A little bit more of those crests of the waves. I'm going to bring a little bit more water in my brush. And begin to come down over here. And start doing the folding of those crests. And there's going to be some grasses here, so I'm not going to do too much here. There, like that. There'll be grasses here too. I'm going to cover that. Bring down right to the edge where the water touches the sand. Like that. And in that area, close to the shore, I'm going to change colors to the cobalt teal. Give a little bit more of that kind of turquoise coloration to the water. Like that. Okay. I'm going to get rid of some of this whites over here. There. And that's all we need there. Okay, so the water is done. I think I'm going to bring in a little bit more water over here, close to the sand. There. And that's it. So now, you see how this is drying. Okay, so it's beginning to dry. So I'm not going to touch this yet because they're still kind of damp. But in this area, with a smaller flat brush, I'm going to start doing some of the grasses. And for that, I'm going to need some raw sienna. Get some of the raw sienna from my, where's my raw sienna? Here's my raw sienna. Get some raw sienna into my palette. And there we are. Some raw sienna. I should have done that earlier, but that's all right. I want that paper to dry some more anyway. Okay. So now I get some of the raw sienna. Okay, so now this is beginning to dry. So it's distant, good timing. I'm going to get some of that raw sienna and a little bit of aureolin yellow and cerulean blue. And but before I do that, I'm going to add a little bit of water here, like that. little bit over here, and then bring those colors. The Aurelian yellow, the raw sienna, and cerulean blue. And start doing some of those grasses that are going to be over here. This is the base color for now. I'll do that, the other areas. A little bit of here more, a little bit of the grasses here. There will be some over here too. Like that, there. Over here the same thing. And some of the Aurelian yellow, a little bit of the raw sienna, and a little bit of the cerulean blue. And come over here and do this. Come down some of those colors. Come over here. Like that. That's the base color for that. So now I'm going to increase the value of those colors with a little bit more of the cerulean blue this time. And start doing the grasses. I'm separating my bristles in my brush this way, and just go over here and holding the brush way back in the handle like that. I'm going to start doing some of these grasses like this. Oh yeah, like that, those grasses. Come over here, do some of them this way, like that. A little bit more of the raw sienna and cerulean blue. No more of the other color, the Aurelian yellow. I don't need that anymore because I got those colors in the base color over here. I just need these grasses. Just a tiny bit more water in my brush. And do this grasses like that. Okay, now I'm going to change from the cerulean blue to ultramarine blue with that raw sienna. And start doing the darker areas of the grasses. Like that. More of the raw sienna, more of the ultramarine. My brush is almost dry now. And do some of the taller grasses, like that. And bring some of those areas right into the sand like that. Like that. Okay. A little bit more of those colors. And separate the bristles like that. And come over here and do those grasses. Some taller ones over here, some shorter ones. And do them in different directions, not all vertical. Have a few sticking out of the sand like this. Like that, there. And connect this over here. I'm going to do this area a little bit more. I'm going to bring in some undersea green more of the raw sienna, this time with Payne's Gray instead of with ultramarine. Make it much darker, especially at the base of these grasses. But still separating the bristles in my brush and do the darker portion of those grasses. Like that. Do some sticking out like that. And do more of those darker areas now. Like this. There. Over here, I'm going to bring more ultramarine blue, much darker now, but still with the raw sienna. And separating the bristles like that. They're going to do this. The reason they're going to be darker because these are in the shade. So I'm going to bring more, some of the Payne's Gray into that area. These are in the shade. They're going to be darker. Like this. Over here where the sun is hitting this area, they'll be okay to be lighter, but over here, below, in this area, they're going to be darker. Like that. Same thing over here. It's going to be much darker. I'm going to do some taller ones there too. Come over here. There we are. And there. I'm going to do a little bit of that over here too. Especially over here, there will be some darker ones. There. Okay. I'm going to do a little bit more darker colors. That was too big, but I'm gonna take care of that. Okay, so now I'll do a little few darker areas over here. There we are. This is going to be much darker. I'm also going to bring in some quinacridone gold deep in some areas over here. From sienna. Some of these areas. Give a little bit more warmth to some of these colorations. There, just like that. I'm gonna leave that lighter. And with my brush, but also I'm gonna tone down the green with some cobalt blue in some of these areas. Because in there in the shade, some of these are in the shade still. There we are, that's it. There. Bring some ultramarine blue by itself into some of these areas. Like that. There. Okay. So now I'm going to take care of this. I don't know how I should do that. Well, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some make tall sea oats. Like that. And then some tall ones over here. With that. Some tall ones over here too. There we are, that's better. And then get some of the raw sienna and do the sea oats. Like this. There. Do something over here. Turn this onto sea oats. There. Okay. So now I'm going to take my flat brush and I'm going to really darken some of that sand a little bit more. I'm going to use some ultramarine blue and the brown matte. I need to darken this areas of the sand. Like that. There. A little bit of the cobalt blue also. There, that's better. And now I'm going to do some of those disruptions in the sand, footsteps or what have you, like I was planning on doing earlier. Like that. I'll bring a little bit more of the brown matte to some of these areas, like that. There we are. A little bit of the blue over here. Some over here. I might as well do that. There we are. Okay. And the beach is done. We'll soften this area a little bit. There. Okay, so those are the beach and the dunes. So now we're gonna do some of the birds that you always find at the beach. Get some gray colors over here. I'm gonna put some seagulls. There, like that. Put some there. This is dry. Yeah, this is dry. Good. Good. Yep. That's all right. There. Okay. Do I need an umbrella? No, I don't. But I'm gonna do something here to give a little bit more interest to this beach scene. I'm gonna take a little bit of a brown matter, a little bit of burnt umber. I'm gonna put a couple over here, standing on by the sand, by the edge of the water. Like that. Maybe a little bit of sepia to there. That's it. And this is dry, almost dry. That's almost dry. I'll leave it like that. I'm gonna sign it later, so I'm gonna remove the tape, put this on a darker color board so you can appreciate a little bit more than on this white board. And remove that. Remove this very carefully so as not to tear the watercolor paper. And there's no way to do this without getting my hand in the way. So I'm going to remove this tape. And I'm going to bring the dark board and put this over here, and here's the painting. I'm going to minimize this a little bit so you can see it. There we are. So, real nice soft sky, a lot of sunlight in the beach area, a few little areas of sunlight over here, a lot of shadows coming from these dunes downward. These grasses are casting shadows on the sand, a few of the disturbances of this on the sand, and that's pretty much it. So, thank you for watching this video. Hope you enjoy my painting. And please visit my website at aafinearts.com, where you will see information about my virtual classes and a selection of my paintings and prints. If you want to contact me, you can do so with my email address, aafinearts@gmail.com. Until next time.